Hello. I will now call to order the April 16th ADR meeting for the town of Ross. My name is Mark Kruchnet. I have with me tonight two other ADR members, soon to be joined by a third ADR member. I'll let them quickly introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Laura Dewar.
And Stephen Sutro.
And before we move on to anything else, we have the normal public comment time where anyone at home or in the audience can comment on anything for up to 3 minutes, any item that's not on the agenda. Okay, we have no takers for that. So now we will move on to the approval of the minutes. I have read the March 19th minutes and they seemed fine to me. I would recommend we adopt them. Does someone else want to offer any changes or confirm, second the motion?
I could second that.
Okay, great, thank you. And now we're joined by Joey Buckingham. And the first project tonight is 124 Winding Way. We'll let the town present the project first.
Good evening, ADR members. Tonight, the applicant at 124 Winding Way is requesting a recommendation to Town Council for design review and a demolition permit. The project involves removing the existing T11 wood siding and replacing it with a stucco. A demolition permit is required to alter more than 25% of the exterior wall coverings of a residence. Thank you.
Is there anyone, the owner or the design team, that wants to make any comments, or should we just discuss the materials that we have?
I do have the applicant, Odo. Would you like to speak?
How about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Hi, guys. How you doing? Great. Well, I can't see you now for some reason. I don't know. I can't see you guys for some reason on my end, but that's okay. No, so basically, what we're doing is exactly how Alex had represented it. We're just essentially just taking off this wood siding, it's T1 wood siding, pretty much original from the house. And we're basically replacing it with a medium grade texture stucco, essentially to comply with the insurance carrier Travelers, who has requested, basically stated that they will not renew her homeowner policy unless we take this siding off and put it with a more fire resistant retardant. So basically we're doing it to comply with her insurance homeowner carrier so she can get renewal homeowners insurance.
Okay, and we have the materials here in front of us in the room, so we're able to look at those.
You should have them right there. Yeah, I see Joey just picked up a sample of the stucco. You can see on the back of it, the company, the manufacturer, the texture, the color, etc.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions from the ADR?
Yes, I have a question. It says on the back of this steel trowel texture, but the texture itself on the sample looks to be a little more mottled or pocked, for lack of a better word. What would you?
Yeah, so I think what they're saying on the steel texture piece, the steel trowel, is that's how the stucco is actually applied. It's basically spread like essentially you have 2 coats of brown scratch on it. And then when you apply the stucco on top of that brown scratch, it's applied with the steel trowel and spread. And then it gives kind of a medium texture. It depends on how well the people do the spreading of the actual stucco itself, but typically you want it to get medium to more fine and smooth. So it gives more of a cleaner look actually around the house.
Okay, thank you. Usually when I hear steel trowel or I hear that used, it's more of a flat texture where you don't see so much, so many bumps. Right, okay.
Yeah, so what we're really going for is less bumps, right? Because it just looks a lot more cleaner and to the visual eye as you get closer to the house. From far away, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference, particularly because the color is so kind of light. But at the end of the day, when you put this stucco on, I mean, you really kind of want to get it a little bit smoother than what you have there. That sample is probably not the greatest sample that the company sent us. But yeah, it would be that grade to a little bit smoother.
Okay, thank you. Stephen looked it up here on his tablet in the Omega Flex Medium that you've supplied the sample of.
Yeah,
It's kind of one of their bumpier ones.
yeah.
They also have a semi-smooth,
And they should have a fine, and they have a fine.
a fine.
Yeah.
Um, that's of interest to me as well as the color. So
Yeah,
thank
so that's of interest to us as well. We've been discussing that a little bit. We obviously want to go a little bit smoother. The issue, the what they don't tell you in the manufacturer and everything is the smoother you go, the more cost it goes up, because essentially what you have to do is you have to go over the house multiple times as opposed to just one or two times. You have to go over it 3 or 4 times. So there's a balance between the texture going really, really smooth versus the homeowner's cost and budget. And moreover, the finer you go, the more kind of hairline cracks you potentially could see with the heat and the expansion. And so that's just something to consider when you go finer. It is a much more nicer, modern kind of feel when you get really close up to it. I know what you're saying. But the standard is kind of you start with the medium and you go to the smooth or finer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other ADR questions or comments? Okay, I will open it up to the public. If anybody here or online has any questions or comments about this project? No. Okay, I'll bring it back to the ADR for recommendations to the council. Who would like to go first?
I will. I think it's the idea of having to stucco because of fire insurance and these requirements is fine. I would just urge you to go a darker color because of our in Ross, we typically, especially on a hillside, do not really encourage a light colored home. And you are actually replacing a home that's kind of more of an earth tone with a very bright stucco. So I would urge you to pick something darker,
Okay.
and if you can afford it, to go for the smoother finish.
Okay, sounds good. We will take that away to the homeowner, and I'm sure we could make some accommodations on that.
Yeah, I would also second Joey's recommendation to go darker. And even though I think your home, because of its location, might not be seen much, if at all, by others, I think the homeowners might be a little shocked when it's sort of done and all of a sudden their house is really, really bright, which I don't think is a look that they've ever seen before. And I think it might be a little shocking and maybe not fitting with the setting and the architecture of the home. So
Okay.
I'm not as concerned about the texture, but I would think that a more earth tone would be a better choice.
Okay.
I would third the comments that Joey made. Whether it's a little bit darker or a more natural looking color, just because it is on that hillside, it didn't seem, I tried to get access to the site today and the gate was locked. But from the street, it didn't look like it would be in the sight line of any of the neighboring homes, but possibly houses like across the hill would be seeing it. And so it would be a bit of a jump from the siding, the like beigey brownish siding color to go to that light gray. So yeah, either darken it up or a more natural material like color.
Well, that's good news you guys are saying that, because the homeowner has been having some conversations about how she probably preferred to go even a little bit darker, exactly what you guys are saying.
Perfect.
So it sounds like we're in all agreement there.
I have nothing to add. I think a slightly darker color would be great, something a little earthier, but it sounds like they're happy to go with that. So I have nothing else to add.
Great, okay, thank you. Now we will move on to the next item, which is 51 Shady Lane, and I will be recusing myself, and Joey will be the chair for this because this house is located too close to my house.
Okay, good evening. I'm the vice chair. Making sure I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So would you like to present this project?
Good evening. The applicant at 51 Shady Lane is requesting a recommendation to council for design review, a nonconformity permit, and a variance. The project proposes to demolish the existing nonconforming pool house on the property totaling 345 square feet and transfer the floor area to expand the rear side of the main house, to add an office to the primary bedroom in the upper level, expand the kitchen and family room on the main floor. The new additions will match the existing home to include shingle roof, white painted wood windows, and light cedar shingles. The project will also relocate the non-conforming pool to a new location further into the rear setback. The new pool will measure 16 feet by 43 feet. Other landscape improvements include a bluestone patio, a trellis, an outdoor fireplace, outdoor lighting, and a pervious driveway to access the existing covered parking. A nonconformity permit is required to exchange the pool house floor area towards the main house, and a variance is required to construct a new patio, trellis, and outdoor fireplace, which is not conforming with the side yard setback, and to construct the new pool, which is not conforming with the rear yard setback. The project is proposing to decrease impervious surfaces by 114 square feet. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Would you guys like to, Barbara?
Thank you. Good evening. Hello. This is a very simple project. We are reconfiguring the landscape improvements. We are constructing an ADU, which is attached to it, a lovely little trellis. It does require a variance on a couple minor issues. Michael was here previously. The whole goal here is to reconstruct the backyard and to make it more friendly for the children, to get the pool in the sunny side of the home, and to create some shade. There was an arbor. We don't feel like it's in a good location, so we've attached it to a more hidden, sort of quiet place where it's not so close to the street. We've met with all the neighbors. Everybody's fully supportive of the project. It's a very unusual lot, and hence we need the variances because it really is abutting 3 streets, and we only actually have 1 neighbor who is in support of the project as well. There are no issues that we are aware of to date. So I'm going to let Michael speak maybe to the variances a little bit because he was here previously, but we're very excited. It's a very small change of square footage. We're adding it to the house instead of the existing structure, and that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, I can answer them or answer them after Michael speaks. Any questions? Okay, Michael.
Thanks. Michael Yandel, landscape architect. So you guys remember this from the last time. I'm not sure you were here, Stephen. It was June of last year, and we had a swimming pool that was longer. It was 16 by 50. We had a side terrace with a arbor and fireplace on the Norwood side of the property, where currently there's really nothing. And so the review members felt like there were, we should massage that a little bit. And so we went back and said, well, we looked at it again and just said, hey, well, the pool, we pulled it back 7 feet. It's now 18 feet from the rear property line. It is shorter by 7 feet. So it's 43 instead of 50. 50 might have pushed it a little bit. 43 feels good on the site. Getting rid of the arbor and the use space on the Norwood side, I think was a good move. We have to maintain that, you see that bluestone pattern that's there is actually on a grass cell because we have to maintain a driveway into the 2 covered parking spaces. So that's what's going on over there. We're taking the arbor down that is currently out there attached to the house. And like Barbara said, that's going to shift over to the ADU side. In terms of variances, the town has found in the past, they have made findings for variances on this property because of special circumstance, just the way the house was placed on this site as a historical structure, the fact that it doesn't have any neighbors on 3 sides. And as we go through the findings, we say, okay, well, it's not special circumstance. Plenty of places have variances for a pool or for an arbor. It doesn't grant any special privilege that other properties don't have. It does not impact light or air to anyone. And I think most importantly, we are not impacting any of the neighbors. And as Barbara said, all the neighbors are in full support of it. So we think that you guys can make the findings as well as past ADRs and councils have to support this project.
Thank you. Do any of you have any questions of Michael or Barbara?
So even to Southwood, the neighbor that hadn't responded, they are supporting the project.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Gita Sturitz. I'm the homeowner. And to answer your question, to Southwood, Eric Wagner. We did have a meeting with him yesterday evening. We've just been trading emails and phone calls because we were in Spain last week. But we did meet with him and we had a wonderful talk on the project. And he even said himself, he's been in his home since I think the late 80s, that he had suggested to the prior owner that we place the pool where Michael has recommended its new placement, just from a sun standpoint, and it is actually slightly further away from his house. So he was totally on board with the pool, with the new trellis, with the hardscapes, and his only ask for us was related to the building of the ADU. When we do construct that, he's an arborist, he's a certified arborist, so he said he'd be happy to come and help or guide our team on digging a exploratory tunnel where the ADU is going to sit in relation to his oak tree that hangs over our property. And we committed to having that conversation with him when the time is appropriate.
Great, thank you.
Oh, yeah, well, we met with One Southwood as well. They're on the south side, Bergholt. We met with them this morning, and they were also in full support of the project. I think Jeff even mentioned that it seemed like something he would do to his property if he owned our piece of land. Makes sense. They also wondered why the previous owner put the pool in the middle of the yard. And their only concern that they voiced, and we committed to following up with them when the ADU is constructed, that we share with them our screening plan along the Southwood fence line, which I know Michael's already developing that, and I did share with them that we're planning to install a 10 to 12 foot hedge similar to what we have along Shady Lane. That has grown significantly higher than 12 feet because it's been there now for 7 or 8 years, but our goal is 10 to 12 feet, and Michael can talk to the specifics of the plans. I don't want to misspeak. I think English Laurel, but he's the expert. And the last neighbor is on the Norwood side, Terry Pickett, and we got in touch with him actually and heard back from him immediately, letting us know that we should have fun with our project and go for it.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Stephen, do you have any questions?
I just have one question for Barbara, which is the roof plan of the addition on, I guess it's sheet A22, shows a little funky condition at the left-hand side. You familiar?
could put that up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because it connects to, on the right-hand side there, I think it's not that one, the other one, right?
There, the plan view.
Yeah, in the elevation, it just looks, I think, a little funky, and I noticed that too, but it's a connection to the existing roof going up. So one side is hipped and one side is connecting back up to the other side of the roof. And this is where her office is. Is that where you're talking, Stephen?
I'm
on the
looking
right
at
hand?
there's the porch extension or flat roof extension. And I'm looking on the left-hand side of that flat roof where the hipped roof extends farther on one side. Do you see that little bit?
Oh.
I can't understand that three-dimensional
Oh, yeah,
drafting
I think
error.
it's a drafting error.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically this hipped roof lets down onto this.
Onto this,
Essentially flat roof.
a
It's
flat roof, yeah.
minimally sloped down to a gutter.
Yeah, because we can't go any higher because of the windows up above, so we just have a flat roof section there.
I understand, yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, sorry, that might be a drafting error. I will pick that up later. Thank you.
Any other questions? Back to the public. Any questions of the audience or online?
Let me check. Real quick. No raised hands?
None.
No.
So which one of you would like to go first with your opinion?
I can go first. I think the project is really nicely designed and overwhelmingly I support it. I support fully the changes to the structure and transferring the square footage, and I think that's nicely designed. I think that, as far as I can tell, and especially because there's no neighbor opposition to the pool change, I don't think it's exacerbating or making more egregious the nonconformance or making it more kind of noxious. And so I can support the pool placement and size change and et cetera. And the thing that I'm a little bit waffling on is the ask for the variance for the trellis and the patio because it's in a non-conforming area. And I'm trying to kind of think about the setbacks. That setback there, they have side, or I guess it's labeled side along Southwood. To me, it's kind of like you have two frontages or three frontages. So maybe, for me, I see that more as a side yard than a rear yard, just the way it butts up to kind of neighbors' yards. And the side yard is more lenient than a rear yard. And so for that reason, I think I'm okay with it. I don't know, I'd like to hear from both of you on that, particularly the trellis and the patio on the side there associated with the ADU. And I can kind of see it, if we consider that it's a side yard, it kind of, it mostly complies. But I'm trying to justify what's the hardship that substantiates putting this congregation element in a spot where we're not supposed to be placing it, other than it's awesome and we want it, you know? So maybe we can come back to me after we hear about what you guys think about that element. But overwhelmingly, I think the project is great. It's very well designed. Congratulations. It's awesome. And I'm struggling with that just a skosh. Yeah.
Sure. I'm also generally supportive of the project. You know, I think pulling the pool in a little bit helped, and especially since it is right by the garage, it's not like as close to where the house is. And there already was a pool there, so it's not like it's creating new noise, you know, it's just shifting it over into the sunny area, which makes sense, so I support that. And the additions to the house look good. You know, the massing is like pretty modest, and especially since you're removing that elevated deck, you know, it helps it to not even seem like you're adding as much. And then with the pergola, that's, I mean, it's a little bit tricky because it is in the setback. it's kind of tucked in from the street, so like the ADU is between it and the street, so it doesn't really impact anything there. But it is, you know, next to the two Southwood neighbors, so I guess I'm not quite sure either the findings for that, but I also don't think it would have a negative impact. So Joey?
So I think the project is great. I think it's a huge improvement from the last time we saw it, and you have responded to our comments from June about pool size and placement. I think so I always think to myself, there have to be findings for allowing these variances and allowing these, for things to veer off from what is required. This is a really weird lot, which basically is surrounded on 3 sides by road. So you don't have any neighbors, and I think some of the usual rules don't apply, and that is 100% findings for allowing the design to proceed as drawn. I actually feel like instead of exacerbating a nonconformity, the removal of a guest house that has a roof that's, what is that, 14 feet high? What's the peak of that? And replacing it with a pool at grade that's like for like, you already have a pool. So I feel like that's actually making a nonconformity, lessening it. And anything that's in the setback on both sides is on a street, so it's not really affecting neighbors. So I can make findings for the location of the pool, everything over there. This is a great example of, it would actually be really nice to see the future ADU, even though it's not in our purview. Like, we can't say anything about it. They're just ministerial. Because I have a feeling that the roof of the ADU is going to block any view you might have of this pergola, and therefore it's a non-issue. So the first thing you're going to see from the street is the ADU. Hopefully all of Michael's plantings, but I don't think you're ever even going to see this pergola once the ADU is constructed. That's my guess. You can go 16 feet high. Yeah, I can see it if you like. So I know that to be true, and therefore those are my findings. I would support it as drawn, and I think it's a really good use of space, and it'll be a much better house.
Here is the ADU. Very cute.
Can you hear me now?
It's back on, so it couldn't mutter.
So should we round it up to? Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Would you like me to go through any of the findings, just to reiterate why we think you can make findings? Or are you guys all right?
I'm fine. I think we have a 3 approval, and it'll go to town council and they can decide about the trellis. But I think we've expressed some concern, but I personally don't have concern about it.
Good, thank you.
Everyone? Okay. That concludes that little chapter. Oh, she was. I know. I was thinking she was getting crazy with all the people.
Okay, and the next item is an update on design review for exterior wall coverings.
So, good evening, ADR Group. In the last March meeting, staff did bring before you the discussion that Town Council had on the demolition permit process and design review process for replacing siding. During that meeting, we talked about having Joey and Mark Fritz be sort of like a informal review committee to look at the siding. That way, as long as it complies with the design review guidelines, they can just go ahead and apply for a building permit. So after reviewing that with the town attorney, that would be considered a standing committee, which is still subject to the Brown Act. So it wouldn't really save time because we would then have to send out notices, have a public hearing, and it just doesn't, make the process easier for the homeowner or the applicant. So tonight, what we're sort of left with is leaving the process as is, where, like the first project you saw tonight for 124 Winding Way, they would come before you in an ADR meeting. They probably submitted their application maybe a month ago, and so then it'll take them a month to get here, and then they'll go to town council in May. It's at least a 2-3 month process just to replace the siding. So it's either that, or we remove the 25% alteration from both design review and the demo permit and allow a homeowner who is replacing their siding for in-kind, so siding to siding, or for fire preventative, to go ahead and just apply for a building permit. And so town council did ask staff to bring this before ADR for a recommendation. So we're hoping to get that from you all tonight.
So just sort of thinking out loud here, it seems like it should be relatively quick. So on average, someone would wait 2 weeks to get before the ADR, because all they're doing is, if the process is very simple, which as far as the applicant, for certain things you have to get architectural drawings, it can take weeks, and making sure your packet's complete. If the system is very simple and all they have to do is write an email to staff and then provide a sample of the stucco like they did here, or whatever new siding it is, it seems like on average they'd be waiting 2 weeks from the day they decide to get to ADR, since we're every month. So sometimes it might be only a week, sometimes it might be 3.5 weeks. And then the town council meeting is what day usually?
The third Thursday or the second Thursday of the month, so it goes the month after it goes to ADR.
Okay, so then there's a 3-week delay. So let's call it now, we were at 5 weeks, and then they could go ahead. So it's a little over a month, which is a bummer. I do think in this particular case, and we've only had one, I mean, I'd like people to do it cost-free and quickly, but it's only happened once so far, at least that I can recall. And it seemed it was pretty quick. And I do think the homeowner in this particular case will be well served by the 4 of us making a comment to have it be darker, because I think if they just went ahead and did it, what their first, oh, we'll just do white, it's easy, I think they'd be shocked at how their home looked, and it would probably devalue their home, and they probably wouldn't be happy with it. So maybe waiting an extra, 3 to 4 weeks or 5 to order their stucco might be helpful. I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah, I think my worry is if we remove all need for approval, people will just be stuccoing their house with, bumpy white stucco over the counter, because it's the easiest, the cheapest, and, it could be a bad outcome. But what I'm wondering is, like, they had to hire an architect, they had to get drawings. I think we could just say this for this, like an email with pictures.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Instead of producing the drawings for this, which, just if there's photos and then the materials, I would find that adequate, but.
Yes. 100%. Very cheap, very quick, an email and a stucco sample and access to their lot. And it seems like those three things, someone could do within, well, it might take them like a couple hours to get a stucco sample, but an email is obviously, 5 minutes, and it could be one paragraph long. So it seems it could be very simple. What are your thoughts, Stephen?
I totally agree with you, but I think that's in the case where you're swapping out a material. And I think in a case where it's like for like, it should be administratively approved or just go straight to a building permit as determined by the planning staff.
Yes, agreed.
Same material, same color, it
Yes.
doesn't come here. And right now in the design review requirements, it says any project resulting in the removal or alteration of more than 25% of the exterior walls or wall covering. That means if you have a brown shingle house and you take off 25% of the brown shingles and replace them, or you replace them in kind, you have to come here,
Oh, yeah, so.
which is silly.
I agree, although that doesn't really deal with any of the fire issues that we're
Don't
talking
care.
about here.
I don't care. I don't think, I agree that if it's gonna be a material swap, even if it's for insurance requirements or for WUI or design, yeah, we wanna see it.
But if it's, yeah, I mean, for
Like for
sure,
like
if it's
should be
like
over
for
the
like,
counter.
it should just be,
Yeah, so I think the code should be amended to stipulate that, which it's not right now.
I support that, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, support that too.
Okay, so just to reiterate, you would recommend that the demolition permit section and design review section of the code be amended to state that if the replacement is in kind, then that 25% threshold doesn't matter. Like if they're re-siding their existing siding, even if it's 50%, that's fine. But if they're going from siding to stucco or changing the material of the exterior coverings, then they should go through design review and the demo permit process.
But I think,
Quick.
and I think replacing like with like in terms of material and in terms of color.
Okay.
Like if we can make.
And Roberta, where's the code section on demolition?
So
Oh, it's on
it
1850.
is, yes, a different section.
And
We
where-
do have a hand raised. I don't know if the public
Oh, sure.
hearing's still open to the chair if you want to hear the comment from the person. Okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, what was that?
We have a hand raised on this item on Zoom.
Oh, yep,
If you want to take the public comment.
please.
Okay.
Odo, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you now. Perfect. Thank you so much. These are all great comments. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah, so these are all great comments. Everything you guys say, you're spot on. We actually discussed all this. I think one thing you guys should note, just as some information, is one of the reasons why it got pretty tight frame for us is what's happening on the carrier side is the insurance carrier is sending an email letter to a homeowner basically saying, hey, we're non-renewing you like in a month or 2 months, right? They're not giving the homeowner that much time to make this adjustment if they want to, that coincides and kind of dovetails into your all's process. So I totally agree with you that it should be quicker. In my mind, it's kind of like what you guys are saying. You just don't want someone coming over there, putting on a bright color, whether it's purple, green, whatever, something that's just really going to be out of whack with the rest of the topography of the class of the area and stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to add that comment because it kind of dovetails into my question that I had a follow up, and I wanted to wait till after the other house and went was. We do have a tight timeline with the insurance carrier on this particular project. And so that was kind of my next question. I mean, we could definitely go darker and everything, but does that require us now to come back in again and go through the ADR review again? Or because this is what our problem is, right? We got an insurance carrier who's going to non-renew this
Otto,
homeowner.
sorry, just let me interrupt. It does not require you to come back. The town staff, you'll just show the town staff what your color is, and they'll say, okay, that's darker, you're good to go.
Okay, got it. Okay, all right, perfect. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Sure, no, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you for your comment. That's helpful. So something occurred to me. So having Mark and Joey be the exterior sample team runs into this regulation you were talking about, the subcommittee. What if it was just one person?
So the standing committee it becomes a standing committee when one or two members are deciding on the same item consistently. So if they're always looking at exterior siding, they're always looking at a replacement, that becomes a standing committee because they're making a decision on the same item.
Can you alternate between the two of
What
them?
if we just, like, it's your turn this month?
If there was a random,
I mean, it's not the two people combination, it's that they're looking at the same thing.
but what if it was just random and just one person?
But if there's a standing procedure to handle this kind of application that way, I think that is what. it is.
Exactly. If it's always that for
if it's a
exterior
random person that
siding,
deals with it.
two members or one member looks at it, that's considered a standing committee and therefore is subject to the Brown Act.
Okay. Well, then I still do think we should look at it, but make it as simple as possible. No drawings, just literally the sample is the only thing required.
So say hypothetically in this case, if they replace their wood siding with like a hardy siding, for instance, and that still made it fire preventative, but it looked the same, would you consider that in kind, or because it's going from wood to that fiber cement, would you say that that's a change in?
I would say as long as it matches the texture in terms of the paint and the spacing of the bats or the grooves in this case, that's fine. As long as it appears the same, I think a substitution in material is generally okay. Yeah?
I mean, I wish they had done that on this project. It would have been more attractive, but it's a lot more expensive. And,
Right.
and they were just hit over the head with an insurance. You know, they needed to do whatever they could do quickly.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make that code change and let the town council know that this was the recommendation from ADR.
I think it could be as simple as like comma, unless the material in question is replaced in kind or something. But it's pretty simple.
Okay.
In both sections, because both sections read the same.
Yes.
Have the repeated code language.
Do you want to just run the language by Stephen once you've changed the paragraph? Just,
I will.
yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, is that everything?
That is it.
Great. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I have one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
You know, I'm so glad I looked that it was 6 PM tonight. Is this forever at 6 PM? We've just changed it to 6?
Until we die,
We're good. Okay,
or change it.
okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I had it in my mind as 7 as well.
Had it as 7.
Until
and
5:40.
I just thought, you know, I'm
Luckily, I'm
gonna
close.
just check. And 6 comes real fast.
Would it be helpful to send like a calendar invite for
Yes.
6 PM so that you all have it like in your calendar with a reminder or something? Yeah, would that
just
help? Okay, happy to do that, happy to do
Another
that.
thing. That would be great.
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
So it is 6 going forward.
That's
in
correct.
perpetuity. Okay.
I think we do have a change for the June meeting. That's going to be, I believe, a week ahead or something so that it's not during graduation.
Let's just go over that right now. You
So
don't
we
mind?
said,
Our next meeting is May.
The 21st of May, and then June, we had talked about, I don't know, I was going to be out of town. I think it would have been on the 18th, and then there was some discussion about switching it to the 11th, which I'm out of town on the 11th now.
That's what I have, the 11th.
What, for June?
June.
June 11th,
Yeah, I have June 11th.
June 11th, and then May 21st.
that's right.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay,
And
great.
so just so you can make a note, I am not in town for May 11th, I'm sorry, June 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Sadly, I'm not going to Mallorca, I'm just going to Michigan.
Just as
Europe?
nice, just as nice.
Family.
All right,
Okay, I move we adjourn the meeting.
second.
All right, meeting's adjourned.